Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this next installment of our VSS. We continue to grow in popularity and attendance, so thank you all for being here. This is a very highly sought after one, so there's going to be a lot of discussion. When you do pose your questions and answers, we're going to go over how to do that through this Notion links that are provided there in the webinar chat. But a couple items I want to go over on behalf of IACM. First and foremost, I want to thank Conflict Management Division for being our partner in this session. Without Conflict Management Division, we wouldn't be able to do this. When you do proceed in preparing for Academy of Management this upcoming year, please do select Conflict Management Division as one of your Academy divisions. We work hand in hand with one another and support one another through and through throughout the year. A couple of items on NCMR's end of things. The IACM's end of things. The IACM 2024 call for papers is now live. We'll be at INSEAD in Singapore from June 23rd through 26th. So please head over to the IACM.org website to pull up the call for papers and consider submission to attend that conference with us. And then Negotiation and Conflict Management Research, our journal, NCMR. It is an open access platinum journal. Head on over. You can scan the QR code that's up there. That was there on the page. You can also head over to IACM.org to go to NCMR. It is open access platinum. We publish it ourselves through Carnegie Mellon University Library Publishing System. So please do support us, cite us, submit your work, and so forth. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Jessica to introduce our presenter for this session. And I want to thank everybody for being here.
Again, welcome to the IACM and Conflict Management Division's monthly research seminar. My name is Jessica Lee. I am an assistant professor in the Management and Organization Department at the University of Washington. I'm today's seminar organizer and moderator. I'm also a rep at large of the CM division. Today's speaker, Hadi Fariborzi. As you know, he is an assistant professor of innovation and entrepreneurship at Mount Royal University in Calgary, Canada. He is an expert on using ChatGPT for academic research. He has taught several very popular and well-received courses on using ChatGPT for publishing, literature review, data analysis, and grant writing. I've taken his courses and can personally vouch for the quality and usefulness of his courses. So today's session is scheduled to last 45 minutes. The first 25 to 30 minutes are for the speaker to present, so we're not taking questions during that time period. But if you have questions, please ask them through the link to the Notion page in the chat. And I will be monitoring it. And also after the 25 to 30 minute presentation, Hadi will use AI actually to pull some themes from everybody's questions and summarize them and also answer them. Okay. So once again, welcome to our speaker, Hadi Fariborzi. So the floor is yours, Hadi.
Thank you very much, Jessica and Brandon. It's a great day. Thank you for having me in your virtual seminars. I'm very excited to talk about this stuff. We don't have much time, so let's jump right into it. I will try to use this 25-30 minutes as a teaser for just showing you what is possible and perhaps making you a convert to using these new tools. And if you wanted more, you can always reach out and I'll show you some further resources to find out. As Jessica mentioned, questions, comments, suggestions are all welcome. Please post them here. Given the very large number of people that we have, we cannot answer all the questions. However, we pull shared themes from the questions that are asked, and we will spend our time answering those. The link to these slides and to the Notion page is available in the chat. So let's go. Jessica did a great job introducing me. I do research in international business and entrepreneurship. So I've published both international business and entrepreneurship journals. I do a lot of systematic reviews and meta-analysis, and that was our segue to using AI, because those are really huge tasks and it needs a lot of automation. And of course, we were always looking for better tools to make this laborious, a huge job a little bit easier. So All these seminars, all the content that you see is co-designed by myself and Professor Pierce Still, who could not be here today because he's in Mexico enjoying his margarita, and I'm doing the talk today. So we have taught together a lot of workshops on AI and ChatGPT and how to use AI in research, and we were quite lucky in that they were very well received. So we are happy to share some of the insights with you. So the outline for today, I will do a quick intro to AI, ChatGPT, language models, understand them, and show you some example tools. Then a little bit on using it for literature review when we look at the tools, and then really focusing on writing with AI, the concept of prompt engineering and scaffolding, and training your ChatGPT for your tone. And then, of course, analysis and visualization would be the final part, and then we'll take your questions. So what's the whole fuss about using AI? This is from a Nature article published just a few months, perhaps 3 months. The survey was done about 3 months after ChatGPT, even GPT 3.5 was released. So the question is asking a survey of researchers about how they are using, if they are using GPT or any of these tools. And as you can see, many people have at least tried that. Remember, these were very early days, and a lot has happened since back then. New releases, new ones. Google just launched their new model. So I'm guessing if they run this again, the results would be quite different in that many people have at least tried to use these tools. So what are they using this for? Another Nature news feature. So people are using it for anything from for researchers without English as a first language. That's a very big point in democratizing science and science writing. It makes coding easier and faster. Many people are using it for that. Summarizes research, saves time. Administrative tasks. I know how much all of you love those admin tasks, writing another reference letter for somebody and, spending half of your day for that. These are some of the things that you can do a lot better with ChatGPT and AI tools. Writes manuscripts faster, improves scientific research, and importantly, it helps with the peer review and generating new hypotheses. So many different things. And again, this is not even taking into effect all the new updates that we have had just in the past month and a half. This was done in October. So let's see what GPT and large language models are. I don't want to go too much into the technical, but we want to understand the context. Language models are basically models that are trained on a vast text database. So it could be text, but it could be pictures, multimodal videos and all. But let's keep it to text right now. We're talking language models. So all they are is that they have been trained on billions of pages of text. And with that, they have understood the pattern of language. If you have raised a kid, you know how they develop their language skills. They first start with few words, and then they keep understanding context. They know what word comes next and next and next. And that's really how our language model as human beings is built. If you have tried to learn a new language, you know that process, going from speaking no words at all to becoming better and better, understanding better context, better words, to become more fluent. That's exactly the context with a language model. That's how they work. They use, instead of human reasoning, they use statistical methods to analyze the likelihood of word sequences. So basically, when you have a sentence, I need a cup of, if I don't say the word, many of you already have said water or some sort of a drink. But the way you do that is you do that prediction in your mind with your reasoning. The way language models predict the word water there is based on a statistical analysis. So they have a lot, sorry, they have a lot of text they have been trained on, and based on that, they can predict what word would go next. How do they do that is they understand the context, they understand the sequence and patterns of words, they predict the next word, and then the next, and the next, and so on. So it's like if you are quantitative researchers, it's more like a simple regression model predicts the outcomes. However, this is more than just a simple regression model. There are many layers in between to those layers could be seen as context to predict the next word. So there are lots of tools that develop based on this simple concept of detecting language, understanding language, and generating language. So one of the things that we keep hearing and we always face ourselves is that there are just lots of tools. We don't know how to keep up. If we have to change the way we work, it's like we were really cave people who have been given this amazing tool and we really don't have any idea what to do with it. So one of the things is that you don't have to try everything that is shown to you, or if a colleague says, have you tried this new tool? I am spending a lot of my time every day reading on AI tools. Every single seminar I teach, people suggest tools that I have never heard about. That's just the nature of things. That's just because there is just too many. What I have done, though, is that I have created this list of AI tools for research. There is a link to that from my slides. I will also share it right now in the chat, where I am trying to create a community-created list of AI tools so that, so here we are, sorry, let me just make this a little bit smaller. So here we are listing the tools that we think are good for to be used for research. Full disclosure, we have a conflict of interest. I will add my conflict of interest here. HubMeta is the platform developed by us, so we might be just a tiny bit biased over there, ranking this as number 2 in the list. So this is the tool, this is what the capabilities are, and this is our understanding of their capabilities, our ranking of their capabilities. 100% biased, just based on our test and what we feel. So of course, somebody else might find other things more useful. So ChatGPT, we will spend a lot of time on that for today. HubMeta is the tool that we have developed for doing systematic reviews and meta-analysis. If you take our systematic review workshop, you can, we work a lot with that. And there is a separate YouTube channel on YouTube videos on how to use HubMeta for systematic reviews, if that is your area. The other platform I want to introduce is Pital. Again, full disclosure, if you use this link, we are on their affiliate program. I really don't know what that means, but we are, kind of. So, but we were introducing Pital before we became an affiliate. So what I like Pital for is that you can upload as many PDFs as you want into different libraries on the platform. I cannot do justice in the short amount of time that I have, but basically what it is that you upload your PDFs and then you create a table where you ask all these questions from all these papers, like write a short summary, the main findings, what was the research methods. These are questions that I ask. I define them. It's not pre-written or anything. So I like, for example, I said, what key theoretical frameworks were used in this study? Or bring 4 quotes from the article that showcase the essence of its arguments and findings. This is a very handy tool for literature reviews, where you have to go through hundreds of papers very quickly to understand, okay, maybe these are the 20 papers that I really need to go deeper into and read and analyze. And just by writing that, it will automatically analyze and get the answer for all of these papers. Like, for example, this one was empty. I can click on get answer. Of course, I can get the answer for the whole column as well. The other feature it has is writing a summary or a narrative. Like, for example, here I asked it, I said, if I create a new chat, I can just say, okay, add these sources from my library. So these are my review articles. So just based on these 5 articles, based on these 5 articles, write a short literature review on speed of internationalization. And so it will generate that. So again, this is not chatting with ChatGPT per se, asking it to use whatever it has been trained on. It's going through only these 5 PDFs, opens the text, puts them together, analyze them exactly the way you will do a literature review. And so here, and it provides proper citations to all of these tools. And they have created this new feature, which is AI Create, which I've tested a few times, and it's great. It's great for writing essays and all of that. So that was a quick review of Petal. I hope you will have time. We really don't have time to go through all of this. Perplexity is a great tool, very much like ChatGPT. Of course, the free version allows you to upload 3 to 4 files per day, whereas the free version of ChatGPT does not. And what I like, maybe I can show it very quickly, Perplexity is that you can define these focus areas, and because we are academics, we can say write a short review of international speed in new ventures. And you can turn on the Copilot so that it will have a better body of search. It will search the web for that. And as you can see, it cites the sources that it uses. Unlike ChatGPT, it cites the sources, so you can very clearly see, okay, these are the papers that it has drawn the answer from, and it's doing a very good job in reviewing that, citing the sources and all of that. It's really great when you are starting with a new literature, or when you are facing a writer's block, you don't know what next to write. And this can be really helpful in that. You can go ahead and spend some time with all those other tools. But for now, let's work with ChatGPT, the tool that many of us are using on a daily basis and have tried and have some idea about. Perhaps you have experienced this too, that not everything that you ask from ChatGPT gives you the good results that you're expecting. There is a whole literature, and a lot of people are working on something called prompt engineering, like basically how to write your prompts or how to command ChatGPT to do what you want. We have read a lot of those and processed a lot of those papers, and the essence comes down to these 4 points in our opinion. The first one, the most important one, is factored cognition. And factored cognition means like if you want to eat the whole pizza, you don't eat it all at once. You break it into small pieces. You want to break down the tasks you want ChatGPT to perform into small bite-sized pieces. So, for example, if you wanted to write a literature review on this, you want to give a more careful commands. You go step by step. Step number 1, read these papers. Step number 2, put them together. Step number 3, draw 10 points from each. Step number 4, analyze and find shared themes in between them. Step number 6, write a narrative based on these shared themes from the most important, more frequently raised point to the last. You get the idea. So instead of just asking it one simple task to go and do this really huge task, you will break it down for it. Sorry, I cannot spend more time and unpack this more. Prompt engineering is the concept that you want to engineer the results to ask it what you want. It's really about what you write. It's kind of like it's becoming its own science, where I really think it shouldn't be, of how you command, how you prompt ChatGPT to get your answer. If you type the word prompt engineering in Google, you will see hundreds of thousands. If you search that in Twitter or in TikTok, there are hundreds of people that say, I have a prompt engineering course, or I have this prompt engineering, or they say, here is a list of 100 prompts that you can use to get you what results you want. But really, it's all about what you write, what you ask, and what you get. Context is very important. You want to provide enough context, because remember, it has been trained on 180 billion or even more pages of text. So when you ask it to write a literature review on this, it might bring something from a totally different context that is 100% irrelevant to you. So what you want to do is to provide context for ChatGPT as much as you want. There are a few methods: custom instructions, the conversation history, and GPTs and all of that. I'll go over some of these very quickly. And the last point is it's iterative. You want to keep at it. Many times you're not getting good results. Don't give up. Just it's quite a different thing working with a generative AI, where every time it generates and guesses and predicts what I have to say, and reading something off of Wikipedia or from some page that you found on Google. Our whole conception of machine, computer, and the internet has to change when we are talking about generative AI. They understand what you ask and they generate every time. That's why many times you ask it a question, it generates an answer. And then the next time you ask the exact same question, it is completely different. That has happened to us more than a few times in our seminars, where we have trained it, we have tested something many times, we run it in the seminar, and it's having a bad day, just disappoints and embarrasses us. So that can happen a lot. So let me just give you an example for the context. This is something I want everyone to try and do. It's actually pretty simple. So you go to ChatGPT. Most of the things I will do today is with GPT 3.5, because I'm not assuming everyone has that. The first thing you really want to do is to go to your ChatGPT, click on the picture, and there is this thing called custom instructions. As you can see, my custom instructions are pretty elaborate. I have explained a lot of different things. So 2 questions you really need to answer. What would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? How would you like ChatGPT to respond? So these are the 2 questions. You can add whatever you want, or you can ask ChatGPT itself for help. I want to set my custom instructions for my ChatGPT. What do I need to give you to answer the 2 questions? And it will it said, okay, you can give me your user profile and some instructions. And so user profile, you can give it, you can just copy and paste your CV here, or if you have a bio or a profile page, or you have some written text about yourself, you give it all of that and say, okay, produce the answer for that. And it says it has to be like how many? 1,500 characters. You say, write something in 1,500 characters. And then For the next one, I said, what questions do you need to ask me to answer? How should ChatGPT respond? This is the second question in the custom instructions. As you can see here, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? So it's I'm asking it, I don't understand. What do you need to know from me? And it says, okay, what is the context? What is this? What is that? So what I did for myself was I answered all of those pretty briefly. And then I said, okay, now generate that custom instructions and put it there. So that's custom instructions. The second point is about conversation history. As you can see, I have a very long history with ChatGPT. So what you can do is, you can give as much context as you want in the chat. It used to be very limited how many characters you give it, but you can really give very long papers. Like, for example, in this case, which it's an example which I will show a little bit later, this is a new paper that I have written. So I'm just copying the whole paper and pasting it here. I say, this is my new paper, analyze and learn what it is. And of course, I always have a lot of typos with it. So it can read the whole text and understand. All right. So that's how you give it context. Remember that ChatGPT does not remember this chat when you start a new chat. So when you are chatting with it, it doesn't draw upon all the other ones. Every new chat, the memory is set to 0. If you don't want it to use your custom instructions, you can instruct it, do not use my custom instructions. Sometimes I'm using it for someone else. I'll say, do not use my custom instructions. This is for somebody who works at this place, and it will generate what I want. So that's about context. Sometimes you are giving it too much context and it gets confused. In those cases, it's best to start fresh, start a new chat and just give it what you want. Another point about prompt engineering is what we call metacognition, is that you can ask ChatGPT itself to give you the prompt or revise it. So for example, in this case, I'm starting a new chat. I say, hey, I need a good prompt to create an ideal generic prompt for creating an outline for a psychological research paper that can be published in the Journal of Applied Psychology, right? So pick a journal that you want, replace it with this command. I'm gonna paste this in the chat so that you can play with this. I'm gonna say, this is the prompt that I have written myself. I don't feel quite confident. I don't feel that you get it very well. How can I improve that? So you ask ChatGPT and it answers, generate, this is the good prompt. So one thing to note is, because I have my custom instructions, see, it's answering me. So everything it produces is within my context, within what it knows from me. So I'm going to take this prompt, start a new chat, and ask it to give me that outline about how to write that paper. So I asked it to give me an outline for a paper that can be published in Journal of Applied Psychology. And says, okay, so the introduction should include this, literature review should include this, research methods, data analysis, results, discussion, and whatnot. And then you can keep at it. You can keep asking more and more and more. Mind you, it knows all the journals we publish in very well, because guess what? Many of its training sources has been based on articles from all these journals. Like, all of these have published some open access things. All the open access literature ChatGPT has been trained on. So moving on, reverse prompt engineering is another concept where you provide a lot of examples. So for example, you say, this is a nice paper that I really like. draw the outline from that, write the introduction from that. So you are providing the example of the output, what you want the output to look like, and then ask ChatGPT to produce something like that. A scaffolding is a similar concept. A scaffolding is simply just creating a template, right? It's basically the example that we use is that we get the introduction to a few papers that we like in our field. We are writing a meta-analysis on something. We find similar meta-analysis, copy the introduction from that, like in one text file in this example. You can upload the whole file itself, doesn't matter how you do it, but in this case, we thought it's better. So say, this is the prompt that we use. We say, this is, let me start a new chat and say, this file contains multiple introductions from scientific papers. Use these introductions to create a scaffold or a template from which someone with no experience could structure their own introductions for their paper. In this case, I'm not giving it the file. I will just copy the whole text because that just saves me a little bit of time here. Oh, okay, I'm getting a limit for, as you see it. So I will just copy this text again. So GPT 3.5 disappointed me, couldn't read the whole text, so I had to use GPT-4. So it says, okay, let me create a scaffold for you. It says, okay, it starts with background and context. So it reads a good, successful introduction to a paper very close in your literature. So that really helps you in how you need to write. If you think about it, that's really how we write right now. Like, we read a lot of papers and get inspired by the way they write, by their template, by what they discuss, what they want to see, and we write our introductions. Then we submit it. The reviewers get back and say, hey, this part is good, but your story should start from this and that. We have a template. The reviewers have a template. All of that helps shape it into that template. We can understand that template from from this practice a lot better. So it says, okay, in the introduction, write this and this and that. And then you can give it the information and say, okay, write my introduction like that. So let's do that. So this is a paper. This is the paper that I have written. Let's imagine that I don't have the introduction for the paper yet. I will just copy everything else except for my introduction and say, okay, use this scaffold to write an introduction for my new paper, which is here. And it will do that. Gives you the title and starts writing and moves on. So, so you get the idea. The idea is build a template and then write with that template. We'll go back to the finished product a little bit later. You can use it for idea generation. Remember, GPT ideas are just average. That's an average taking tool until you give it good context. So what you can do is that give it some very good reviews or copy the future research directions from 10 review articles, 10 recent review articles in your field, and give all of that to ChatGPT and say, generate some good research ideas for my next project. And you can give it more context, say, this is what I have done before, this is what I can do, these are the methods that I understand, and elaborate on that. Again, it's an iterative process. It will produce a lot of divergent things. I added this here graphic to say it's you have to keep at it. You have to keep working with it to get really good ideas. That's not the first things it produces is just average. It doesn't have any value. You have to give it more and more and ask it to be more specific until it gives you what you want. I already started this process. What ChatGPT really amazes you with is in this repetitive parts of your paper. A huge part of we spend a lot of our time in producing things such as citations, references, finding the right title, writing an abstract. Somebody needs 150 words, 100 words, 200 words, keywords, writing the intro, writing the discussion. There is a lot of repetition in all of that. Honestly, the format of what we write as scientific papers is just 1700s. It's just the exact same way, just a little bit more advanced. Because it's PDF doesn't mean it's really advanced. We still repeat ourselves a lot, whereas our focus could be on the main story. And then if somebody needs more expansion, they can generate it with ChatGPT. So for those repetitions, you can really use the powers of ChatGPT. So as you can see, it has written a great introduction for me for my paper. And I can say, okay, now suggest 10 good titles for this article. You can do the same with GPT 3.5. I'm not using any specific feature here. Just that the length of my initial input was a bit long. You can do it in 2 messages in GPT 3.5, not a big deal. So it's already giving me really good titles. Like this one is about the effect of a meta-analysis on the effect of gender on the performance of entrepreneurial firms. So beyond binary boundaries, rethinking gender and performance in entrepreneurship. This is really like it's some really good suggestions. Now give me 5 keywords. It will give you the keywords. Really, it's nailed it. It's great. And then you can say, write a 400-word discussion section for the paper. It has the paper, it has the results, it has the goals, research questions, and all of that. It's not really a huge scientific task. It's just rewriting what we have already discussed into another platform. Of course, one of the things that we keep advising all the time is that we can never use the output from ChatGPT directly. We still have to be there. We still have to edit it massively, change it, make sure every single word is correct, and it's our responsibility. I don't have more time to discuss that, so I trust that you will you already have thoughts about that too. And a very big point is training it for the tone. Many people hate the way ChatGPT writes, rightly so. It's terrible, it's robotic, it's automatic, it's not the way you write. So you can make it write like you. So I'll show you 2 methods. Use the chat history or create a GPT for that. So let's do just that. I'll create a new chat, and the prompt that I use to train is this. So I will say my objective here, ChatGPT, my objective is for you to learn how to mimic my writing style. To achieve this, I will provide you with a series of texts that I have written. Your task is to analyze them for their vocabulary, tone, sentence structure, and length. Do not generate any content in my style until I explicitly instruct you to stop learning and start writing. Please acknowledge these instructions and await training pieces. So you want it to keep listening to you without generating. So it says, okay, acknowledge, let's go. So what I will, my suggestion is for you to find pieces that you have written and you think you have done a particularly good job at it, and do not give it the whole thing. Like, for example, in this paper, I think, you know, the introduction was good, or the theory section was good. I will just say, okay, this is piece number 1. You don't have to write all of this, but, you know, you can just say, okay, piece number 1. Then you go and find another one and take, for example, this part. And I don't have more time, so I will just stop here. Piece. So it analyzes that and say, and now based on your analysis of my tone, rewrite this paragraph. And then you can just say, or you can just say, for this example, write a paragraph on the effect of gender on performance. And it will produce. And you will be amazed how closely it can mimic your style. So that was method number 1. The second method is using these GPTs. This will help me show you what GPTs are. So GPTs are only available for Plus users, but I really think that $20 per month is really worth the investment with all the things that it can do. So what you can do with GPTs is that you can upload your papers or a few one of them and say, okay, you know, repeat the same process, learn my tone, and your job as a GPT is to write things in my tone. So for example, I have this Hadi's writer GPT. I can just paste my text here and say, okay, rewrite this piece of writing based on my tone. So that way you don't have to do the training piece every single time you want to write something else. GPTs are things that, you know, a little part of ChatGPT trained with your data and your work. Last piece, data analysis and visualization. I'm kind of running out of time, so I don't know if I have time, but I will just briefly show you the results. So it's really, really great for working with quantitative analysis as well as qualitative. So in this example, I asked it to, I'm teaching something, generate a database of 1,000 customers for a hotel, but with number of nights, how much they spent and whatnot. So it created a database with 1,000 entries. That is my, you know, it helped me download it into a CSV. Then I created a new chat and gave it the input, the CSV it generated. I say, this is a database of customers from a hotel, analyze and tell me what it is. It can read your CSV, it can read your data, quantitative, qualitative, doesn't matter. It can read that and give you what it finds there and say, I want you to find some interesting patterns to understand people's ratings and how much they spend. It just says the type of analysis that you can run, just some suggestions. It produces a correlation matrix, which is amazing, which is great. And it's you can do a cluster analysis to help me understand customer rating behavior. And it's just say, okay, cluster number 1 are people who are, for example, average age this, spend about this time, about that. And then it can generate insights from that. Not that this can necessarily be used as your data analysis. This is your brainstorming buddy. This helps you start with this. Of course, it can do a lot more complex jobs than that. Many times you can say, okay, write that analysis. It gives you the code in Python. You can then copy this Python code, take it to your program, and then do the analysis yourself, revise the analysis. You and I might not know Python, but you know, it has already given us the code for that. And of course, it can do, so I just copied that analysis I'm running it in my Python, and it generates these visualizations for me. So I'm just briefly showing you some of the many capabilities of these new AI tools. I hope I could. This is my last slide. I could gauge your interest in this. Where is this headed? Do we think that this is going to replace us? Do we think that this is going to be stopped or anything? Our opinion is that it's not going to stop. So this is a comparison of how good these automatic tools were as compared with human benchmark, human performance. So starting from before a few years before the 2000s, they become better and better. Handwriting recognition, speech recognition. And this is the baseline. This is the 0 point. About this time, they were pretty as good as a human could be in understanding handwriting. Speech recognition, pretty much the same in 2015. Image recognition, you can see it here. Reading comprehension, language understanding, you can see that this is the new thing. Is there any guarantee that this is not going to continue? Like, I don't think, like, yes, we can see that there has been a plateau in how well they perform, but is there anything to limit them? I don't think so. The more, the new models that we see, we haven't seen anything based on our understanding of how the new models on the horizon are performing. So that's just a note that if we haven't converted, we really need to change the way we work right now. If you wanted more, we have these seminars on the platform instance. The links to them are available here. When we post this on YouTube, the links would be in the YouTube video. So you can use any of our seminars on systematic reviews, academic publishing for dissertations, for PhD students, or for writing grants. And finally, if you want more snippets of content, free content, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, use this link or scan this QR code. I appreciate it. If you do it right now, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we would be happy to drop new content for you. And that is it.
Great. Thank you so much. I learned so much again from you, Hadi.
Thank you.
So how about we move to the Notion page and answer some questions? We're already over time, so thank you for staying.
All right.
If you don't have to go, for people who have to go, you can catch up using the YouTube video we are going to post later. Okay. Moving on to questions.
So this software I'm using is Notion. It has an AI capability that is really great in reading all the text and summarizing it. So the kind of questions we have is ethical concerns and implications of evaluating credibility of GPT-generated content, limitations, considerations, technical aspect of practicalities, including integration with other tools, data storage, availability of resources. I'll try to address these very quickly. Ethics and ethical concerns and implications, that's a very big topic. We discussed this in all of our seminars. To very briefly touch upon that, it was actually part of this talk too, but because of time constraints, we had to remove it. So the ethics of using ChatGPT is, first of all, we never advocate for using ChatGPT as a fact machine. This is not to be trusted as a science generator. This is your writer buddy. This is your structure creator buddy. This is your brainstorming buddy, but it's not a researcher. So absolutely, in no case should we just take things it says for what they are without us in the loop. We always advocate for researcher in the loop AI, whereas the researcher commands AI to work for them, and then whatever the AI produces takes full responsibility, revises, and checks. So again, you will never ask it to go and write this whole thing. You ask it to write repetitive things or things that you have written before and want it in a different format or paraphrase, or you give it the ideas in bullet points or some format, and or just copy direct codes from 10 things and ask it to write a narrative based on that. Those things are okay. However, never as generator of answer this question, because that's not science. That's not generating science, in our opinion. There's a lot more delicate ethical answers about that, about the policies of journals, about the different ones, except for a very few ones that I think will change their policy pretty soon. There is no journal there is no academic outlet that says that you cannot absolutely use AI tools. There are a few that are saying that for now, but I'm guessing that they will change. The more common practice is that they want you to declare what you use ChatGPT or other AI tools for. How did you check their credibility? How did you check for their the correctness? How do you take responsibility? So you have to explain all of that. If I can show you an example, I don't know if I can find that, but I just submitted a paper and I had to write that declaration. If anyone was interested, I can share it later. Second point, evaluation of credibility of ChatGPT's generated content, including citations and research studies. First of all, our understanding of limitations of ChatGPT and all the other AI tools has to be at what point of time are we looking at this? If you asked me this question even a month ago, I would say, for example, it would hallucinate, for example, 5% of the time. The more it has progressed, the less it has hallucinations, making up stuff that do not exist. Importantly, for references, it used to fake all of that. Like 100% of citations were incorrect. They were not true. Right now, it's surprisingly well. Like it actually gives you real references. Okay, so give me 5 new references on internationalization of new ventures that have done a meta-analysis or systematic review. Okay, so because it is connected in the GPT plus thing, it's connected to search with Bing, and it's connected to the internet. It can actually draw upon real ones, and so the answers it generates, many times it produces actual citations. Another tool that is in the core is using GPT's model is Perplexity, especially when you keep the focus on academic. All the references are correct. These are actually real references. Another one is called Cite AI, which has been trained on the actual PDF of papers, and it is actually built for academia. However, I think it's still a work in progress. It can be better. So all these publications, all of that are actually true. And it's in just a second, I'll show you that it even says what part of the paper it has taken this this quotation from, or they say they have cited this paper, that, and they say what part of the paper talks about that. So it's very real. It's easy to fact check. However, it's a work in progress in that in my tests, I haven't been able to get really good references. It's not the ones that should be cited, like the ones that I would cite as someone who knows the literature. So that's some limitations. The third one, limitations, considerations. I think I talked about that. Narrowing AI responses to high quality journals and privacy concerns. To narrow it to journals, again, there are tools for that. I strongly recommend Petal, in that you can, instead of asking ChatGPT, you are chatting with a library of high quality papers that you have pre-selected. So you can use this and say, yeah, the sources, it could be many different sources. So you say, for example, this one has 65 studies, 67 studies, and say, okay, for example, write a narrative based on that, or give me some research areas based on these. Or, you can do say, write a paragraph on the speed of internationalization or something like that, or futures, or, explain to me what theoretical gaps do we have in understanding of survival of firms. So all of these are based on actual papers that I gave it. So I limited it to only the papers I want. And you can click on these, and this is the actual source. It will open it up. This is the PDF. You can chat with this PDF and see what's going on there, ask direct questions from it, and just triple test that this is actually good. I'll talk about privacy concerns in a second. Technical aspects of practicalities of using GPT, including integration with other tools, data storage, and availability of resources. I'm not 100% sure what the question is here, but basically you can expand the capabilities of ChatGPT by using the API. So to explain to exactly what is going on, tools like Notion, like Perplexity, like Pital, like almost everything you see out there, all they're doing is that they have created an interface. In the background, they are using OpenAI's GPT method. So they get your question or your prompt or what you want. They add their own prompt. They revise it in a way they want, send it to OpenAI, get back some response, and then display it to you, right? So that's how you expand the capabilities of ChatGPT with that. There is a very big concern with privacy of what you share. First of all, official policy of OpenAI is that they say, we do not store your data. Do you store my confidential data in the chat with you? It says, no, absolutely not. I have no interest in that. That's my promise. If you go to your settings, you can have this thing about they have removed that. Like, it used to be that, here, data controls. So it says chat history and training. So save new chats on this browser to your history and allow them to be used to improve our models. You can uncheck that. It will take your chat history off, and it will not be used for them to learn from that. So it's kind of like a private sort of chat with ChatGPT. How much you trust this? I have absolutely no idea. Like, can you trust it? That's really up to you. However, where this is going, so you can literally create your own version of ChatGPT. Like, some journals do not allow, if you're a reviewer, do not allow you to use ChatGPT to review the paper, because that is someone else's intellectual property. You're uploading it to a cloud-based server. However, many people are already storing their files on some cloud. 95% of our files are not stored securely. Let's be honest. It's on some sort of a cloud, or are sent very freely through email. So if the big brother is watching, they're already watching. They already have access to most of these files. It's on some sort of cloud. However, there are options for private thing. Like, for example, when you're working with client data, with interviews with people, those are really sensitive. It's never a good idea to use any of that with ChatGPT. There are local versions of GPT. Like, for example, this GPT for all, it's open source. It doesn't need any internet. You download the whole model on your laptop and you run it from your own laptop. Of course, the catch is it's extremely slow. It needs a lot of resources. Like in my previous workshop, I said, what are your capabilities? And it took us about 3 minutes for it to produce this. A little bit underwhelming, but that just shows where this thing is headed. It's just work in progress. I'm 100% sure that we will see better models that are more efficient, better solutions. But you can if that doesn't work for you, you can literally buy a hardware server, install the whole GPT on it, and chat with that. No connection to the internet and privacy. That's a crazy solution right now. But I'm just saying what the future looks like in terms of privacy and all of that. Even OpenAI is providing their own little thing with for enterprises, for more secure chat. Amazon is doing something like that. How much you trust, it's really yours. For research purposes, I would never upload anything that is confidential, that is sensitive data, that is interviews, that is things that you have not, if you have not put it in your ethics application, it's not okay to put it on ChatGPT. You can use it, some local version, but not the cloud-based version. Okay. Okay, so it's 1 hour since we started. So your show now. Let me know what I need to do. Do you want me to answer more questions?
I think we'll stop here for today. There are many other interesting questions in the chat, but we just simply don't have the time for it. I want to thank you so much for bringing us this really rich and useful content.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to the audience for joining us today, and another apology for running over time, but we will post the recorded video on YouTube if you want to watch it again and really to catch up. And that's it. Brandon, do you have other announcements?
No, we don't have anything else. I appreciate everybody showing up. I appreciate Conflict Management Division for participating in this as well. And I hope to see you all in Singapore at IACM 2024.
Thank you for having me. Hope everyone has a good day, good night, good evening, wherever you are.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.